Hello, and welcome back to Learning Canadian English. I'm your host, Jen.
And I'm Mike. Welcome to episode 43. We have a very practical topic for you today, something that many newcomers to Canada think about a lot: driving.
That's right. We'll be covering essential vocabulary for driving in Canada, from road signs to road types. And since winter is always just around the corner, we'll also dedicate a big part of our conversation to winter driving terms.
Exactly. I remember when I first moved here from India, Jen, the driving rules felt familiar in some ways, but the signs, the unspoken rules, and especially the snow, that was a whole new world.
Oh, tell me about it. Coming from a big city in China, I was used to traffic, but not to seeing a moose warning sign on the highway. It was a bit of a shock. So let's help our listeners get prepared.
Sounds good. Let's start with the absolute basics. Road signs. What are some of the first ones everyone needs to know, Jen?
Okay, the most important one is the stop sign. It's a red octagon, and it means you must come to a complete stop. Not a slow roll, but a full stop. You check for traffic and pedestrians before you can go.
Right. A complete stop is the key phrase there. The next one is the yield sign. It's a downward pointing triangle. This means you must slow down and be ready to stop to let other traffic go before you. You don't have to stop if the way is clear.
And of course, the speed limit signs. They are white with black numbers, and they tell you the maximum speed you can legally drive in that area, in kilometers per hour, not miles.
That's a very important point for anyone coming from the US. Kilometers per hour. Another key sign is the school zone sign. This indicates you're near a school, so you have to drive much slower during specific hours on school days.
Right, safety first. We also have crosswalks, which are marked with white lines on the road for pedestrians to cross. In many places, you must stop and let them cross completely before you can drive.
Yes, and some people might know crosswalk by another name, like zebra crossing.
Okay, let's talk about traffic lights. Red, yellow, green are universal, but Mike, what about the flashing green light? I remember that confused me when I first got here.
Yes, the flashing green arrow. It means you have the right of way to turn left. So oncoming traffic has a red light and you can turn safely without waiting for a gap in traffic. But this isn't in every province, so always pay attention.
That's a great tip. So we've covered signs and lights. How about types of roads? People will hear words like highway and freeway. Are they the same?
Good question. Often they're used interchangeably. A highway is a main road connecting towns or cities. A freeway or expressway is a type of highway with multiple lanes and no intersections, so traffic can move faster. Think of the 401 in Ontario.
Right, and on the other end, we have residential streets. These are the smaller streets in neighborhoods where people live, so the speed limit is much lower.
Exactly. And a special kind of residential street is a cul-de-sac, which is a street that is closed at one end. A dead end.
Let's talk about intersections. In many neighborhoods, instead of traffic lights, you'll find a four-way stop. What's the rule there, Mike?
The rule is first come, first served. The first car to arrive at the intersection and stop is the first one to go. If two cars arrive at the same time, the car on the right has the right of way.
That's important to remember. Another thing becoming more common is the roundabout or traffic circle.
Yes, for a roundabout, you yield to traffic already in the circle and you always travel counterclockwise. They can be tricky at first, but they keep traffic flowing well.
Before we move on, maybe we should quickly touch on getting a license. The process can be confusing for newcomers.
Great idea! In many provinces, there's a graduated licensing system. For example, in Ontario, you start with the G1, which is a learner's permit. You have to drive with an experienced driver beside you.
Right. Then you take a test to get your G2, which lets you drive alone, but with some restrictions, like zero alcohol and sometimes limits on passengers or night driving.
Exactly. And after more time and a final road test, you get your full G license. The names change by province, but the idea of a graduated system is common to ensure new drivers get experience safely.
Okay, now let's move on to some actions and maneuvers, things you actually do while driving. Mike, what about getting onto a highway?
That's called merging. You use the on-ramp to get up to the speed of highway traffic. You signal, and then you merge into a gap in the traffic. It's important to be confident and match the speed of the other cars.
Yeah, merging. Good word. And once you're on the road, you often have to change lanes. The key here is to signal first to let other drivers know what you plan to do.
Signal, check your mirrors, and then, and this is very important, do a shoulder check. That means quickly looking over your shoulder to check your blind spot.
Ah, the blind spot. Can you explain what that is?
Of course, the blind spot is the area around your car that you can't see in your mirrors. A shoulder check is the only way to make sure there isn't another car or a cyclist there before you change lanes.
That's a life-saving tip. Now, let's talk about something that stresses out many new drivers, parking. The scariest for me was parallel parking.
Oh, definitely. That's when you park in line with other cars, parallel to the curb. It takes practice. Most parking in lots is angle parking or perpendicular parking, which is much easier.
Right, and in cities, you often have to pay for parking at a parking meter. If you don't pay or you stay too long, you might get a parking ticket.
And nobody wants a parking ticket. It's basically a fine you have to pay.
And a couple more quick terms people will definitely hear. What is tailgating, Mike?
Tailgating is when you drive too closely behind the car in front of you. It's dangerous and considered aggressive driving. You should always leave a safe following distance.
Right, and what about rush hour?
Rush hour is the time of day when traffic is heaviest, usually in the morning and late afternoon when people are commuting. Major roads can become very congested.
Okay, let's talk about getting fuel. At a gas station, you can fill it up, which means fill the whole tank.
And you'll hear the mask regular or premium. That refers to the octane level of the gas. Most cars just need regular.
Mike, before we get to the winter driving, there are a couple of other really important topics we should cover. First, car insurance. All right, we've covered a lot of ground. I think it's time to tackle the big one, the Canadian Driving Challenge. Mike, are you ready to talk about winter?
As ready as I'll ever be. I will never forget my first time driving in the snow. I was going about 10 kilometers an hour and I was still terrified. The car felt like it was floating.
I think everyone has a story like that. So the first and most important vocabulary for winter driving is winter tires. Some people call them snow tires.
Yes, they are different from all-season tires. Winter tires are made of a special rubber that stays soft in the cold, giving you much better grip. In some provinces, like Quebec, they are mandatory.
And they make a huge difference. Now for some dangerous road conditions. The most infamous is black ice.
Ooh, that sounds scary. What is it exactly?
Black ice is a thin, transparent layer of ice on the road. You can't see it because it looks just like the wet pavement. It's extremely slippery and a major cause of winter accidents.
Okay, good to know. We also get a lot of slush, which is that messy, wet, half-melted snow on the roads. It can pull your car from side to side.
Right. And after the snowplows come through, they leave giant piles of snow on the side of the road. Those are called snowbanks. Don't try to drive through them.
Noted. Another dangerous condition is a whiteout. This is when it's snowing so heavily, or the wind is blowing so much snow around that you can't see anything. Visibility is near zero.
If you're ever in a whiteout, the safest thing to do is pull over, turn on your hazard lights, and wait for it to pass.
So, what are some actions we need to take in winter? Every morning starts with scraping the ice off your car's windows and windshield. You'll need a good ice scraper.
Absolutely. And you also need to warm up the car. Let the engine run for a few minutes before you start driving. It helps the car run better and lets the heater start working so you can defrost your windows.
The key rules for driving in snow are to drive slowly, accelerate gently, and leave a lot more distance between your car and the one in front of you. Your stopping distance is much longer on ice and snow.
That's the best advice. And finally, it's a great idea to have a winter emergency kit in your car. Things like a blanket, a shovel, booster cables, and some snacks, just in case you get stuck.
Wow, that was a lot of information, Jen, but so incredibly useful. We went from basic stop signs all the way to whiteouts and black ice.
We did. The main takeaway for our listeners is to learn the vocabulary, but also to be cautious and take your time. Driving in a new country, especially one with Canadian winters, is a skill that develops with practice.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to drive slower than usual when you're starting out or when the weather is bad. Safety is always the #1 priority.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today. We hope this episode helps you feel more confident on the road.
Thanks for listening to Learning Canadian English. Join us next time when we'll be talking about another essential Canadian topic, coffee culture and ordering at Tim Hortons. You won't want to miss it.
Until then, drive safe.